What if all the insects on Earth disappeared at once? Imagine waking up in a silent world. No buzzing, no chirping, no butterflies fluttering through the air. The flowers are still, the wind blows, but life feels incomplete. In the first few hours, you might not even notice what happened. The planet looks the same, but something fundamental is gone. Every insect on Earth has vanished all at once, without a trace. What at first might seem like a relief to many people, no mosquitoes, no cockroaches, no ants, would quickly turn into one of the greatest ecological disasters in the history of the planet. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Get ready, because what you're about to discover will completely change the way you see the world around you. In the first days after the disappearance, the consequences would seem subtle. People would celebrate the absence of pests, crops would appear normal, and life would go on. For a short while, the invisible balance that keeps the planet functioning would begin to collapse. Insects are responsible for more than 80% of the pollination of flowering plants. Bees, butterflies, and beetles perform a silent but vital job. They transport pollen from one flower to another, allowing fruits, seeds, and vegetables to grow. Without them, within a few weeks, the reproduction of most plants would begin to fail. Fields of fruits and vegetables would stop producing, and the first signs of food shortages would appear on supermarket shelves. But this would only be the beginning of the collapse. With the fall of pollination, millions of plant species would stop reproducing. Entire trees that depend on insects to generate new seeds would slowly begin to vanish. Forests, which shelter more than half of Earth's biodiversity, would collapse. And along with them, the species that depend on these plants to survive, birds, small mammals, reptiles, and even large predators would be affected in a chain reaction. Scientists call this the ecological domino effect, a sequence of imbalances that spreads through the entire natural system until it inevitably reaches humans. Without insects, the next impact would be even more devastating. The decomposition of organic matter would practically stop. Today, when an animal dies, its body is quickly decomposed by a legion of beetles, larvae, and flies. They recycle nutrients and return to the earth the elements that sustain new life. Without this process, dead matter would begin to accumulate in forests, fields, and even cities. The smell would be unbearable, and the cycle of life would come to a brutal halt. The soil would lose fertility, becoming hard and barren. Agriculture would collapse within a few years. In less than 5 years, global famine would become an inevitable reality. Without pollinators, 75% of food crops would disappear. What would remain would be wind-pollinated grains, such as corn, wheat, and rice. But even those would be indirectly affected, as the lack of nutrients in the soil would drastically reduce productivity. Food prices would skyrocket like never before. Millions of people would die of hunger, and conflicts over natural resources would become inevitable. Entire cities would turn into survival camps, and the once vibrant planet would sink into a terrifying silence. But the imbalance wouldn't stop at the surface. Beneath the ground, billions of insects that keep the underground ecosystem alive would also disappear. Earthworms, beetles, and termites are the hidden engineers of the earth. They aerate the soil, recycle organic matter, and maintain the balance between microorganisms and nutrients. Without them, the soil hardens, loses oxygen, and kills the roots. Weakened forests would become vulnerable to fires and diseases. The atmosphere would be affected. With fewer plants, less carbon dioxide would be absorbed, accelerating global warming. Now imagine the consequences for animals. Insect-eating birds, which feed exclusively on insects, would disappear within months. Bats, frogs, fish, and even small mammals that depend on this food chain would die en masse. The extinction cascade would be inevitable. In just a decade, the planet would lose more than 60% of known animal species. Earth would return to being an arid, silent, and sterile environment, a living planet that lost its most essential gear. Many might think technology could replace this natural role. Scientists are already testing pollinator drones, small machines capable of carrying pollen between flowers, but the scale is impossible. To replace bees alone, it would take trillions of microdrones operating 24 hours a day across all continents. The cost would be unimaginable, and the maintenance unfeasible. Nature built this system over hundreds of millions of years, and it's so complex that no human technology can fully replicate it. But here's the most curious and frightening point. This hypothetical catastrophe has already begun, slowly but surely. Studies show that more than 40% of insect species are in rapid decline. The indiscriminate use of pesticides, habitat destruction, and climate change are killing millions of colonies every year. In some regions of Europe and North America, the number of bees has dropped by as much as 70%, and this is already affecting crops and ecosystems. The total disappearance of insects might not be just an exercise in imagination, it could be the future we're building right now. In summary, without insects, Earth would no longer be the planet we know. Life as we know it depends on them deeply and silently. They are the invisible architects of ecological balance, the messengers of plant reproduction, the recyclers of the planet. Ignoring their importance is playing with humanity's own destiny. Every mosquito, every ant, every bee, each fulfills a specific role in an interconnected system that sustains life. When one link in that chain breaks, everything else begins to crumble. If insects were to disappear completely, humans would probably not survive for more than 50 years. The ecological, food, and atmospheric collapse would make the planet uninhabitable. And in the end, what began as a pleasant silence, no mosquitoes, no cockroaches, no annoyances, would end as the sound of extinction. Call to a CTION ending. If this story made you think about how everything on our planet is connected, hit the like button right now. It helps Dr. Sabi Tudo keep bringing you the most incredible and unsettling truths of science. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share this video, because knowledge, just like nature, must stay alive.